This is a new book that I just did. It's titled The God-Man Cometh. And this book is done in a sort of lighthearted manner, but every word is true because most of it comes from Mayor Baba, except for my own commentaries that you'll hear also. And I think you'll like that as well, but you'll like Baba better, no doubt. Now I'm going to start reading this. This is the book that I just completed. I didn't know what God was, or even if such a being existed, or if God was a being. In fact, these answers were hard to come by, so I didn't think much about it. I was living the standard life. I need to make money. A girlfriend would be nice. Maybe someone will tell me something I would be interested in. I like science, music, and the mind, whatever that is. This was me and my standard thoughts of the day. I felt like if I lived 1,000 years, nothing would change in my standard life. This was it till I would die. However, little did I know something was going to change, and a big one at that. If you told me an alien from another world would enter my life, it would be more believable than what actually happened. If you told me someone from the far future would visit me in their time machine, even that would be more believable than what happened to me. What would you say if someone suddenly came up to you and said, I come down from the highest level to your level in order to bring you up to my level of the highest? Well, that's what happened. I must admit I was intrigued. But then he left before I could say anything. I knew he would be back, but when? I certainly had what to think about. The highest? Where is that? What does that have to do with me? Why did he say he wants to bring me up to his level? I don't even know him. Anyhow, I love mysteries, and this was one for the books. In the meantime, my brother also liked girls and parties. He would tell everyone to come to his party and then would not show up. So I would go and make sure the party would go on. I mention him because he played a big role in my life later. But this man keeps entering my mind. What level did he want to take me to? Such a mysterious fellow. Now, as I said, I'm just an ordinary person. Most likely that is the way I will be till my end. But then I told my girlfriend what happened. Now she was intrigued and wanted to meet whoever this was. Anyhow, time passed, and I'm walking along. The sun is shining. Such a nice day. And what do I see in the distance but the same mysterious man? He's sitting in an outdoor cafe. This is too much. I go to where he is and sit down at his table. I forgot my manners. I didn't even ask if I could join him. Before I could say anything, he says, no one is a stranger to me, although I am a stranger to most. If you love me with all your heart in it, you will come up to my level of highest, because I am in you all. With that, before I could assimilate what he said, he got up and left. I was stunned. Who was he? How could I love him? I don't even know him. He spoke with such authority, like he knows me. I will tell this to my girlfriend. She will love hearing this. More time was passing, but this guy really made an impression on me. I couldn't stop thinking about him. Just when I thought I would never see him again, there he is, talking to a group of people. I go over to hear what he is saying. He does not talk normal, like how do you like the weather, or how is your job, or what did your mother tell you, or any of the daily cares we chit-chat about all the time. Instead, he is telling everyone, we are living in a dream. What we see is not real. We are sleeping and dreaming with full consciousness, so it looks real. He is saying he is awake in the real sense, but he has come into the dream to dream along with us the dreams that all dream. So now he is saying he comes to wake us up. Only those who are awake can wake up others. He tells the group to love him. That way you can stick to him while he works on freeing us from this imagination we are caught up in. Now everyone, including myself, is shocked. We never heard anything like this. Again, he gets up and leaves us to mull over what we heard. My girlfriend is with me this time. She says, I love this guy. I want to hear more. In this world, there is a war going on. The newspapers, the TV, and media are full of it. Pain and suffering and the horrors of war are being reported. We may live on a planet circling a star that is just a speck in this vast cosmos. No one else in this huge universe would even care about our wars, but we care, only us. I never did like pain, even if it was someone else's. How do I reconcile this with what the man said it was all just a dream? Pain will wake me up from thinking it is not real. Pain hurts. But when pain is over, the mind settles down and can think of the larger picture and ask, how can this be? Who am I? What am I? Will I never end? Wars come and go. What about me? Will I come and go too? Where is that man? I have a few questions I need to ask him. My life is taking a big turn. It is no longer the standard life I was living. Going to the movies, watching TV, rooting for the hero, waiting for him to trounce the villain. Sports, gymnastics, sailboating, all this is no longer important to me. What is going on? How can I be losing interest in all the things I was so fond of? This man, he is doing that. Is he the devil? Why am I so attracted to him? Everything he says seems so right. I never heard anything like this. My standard life was so comfortable, even if it was dull, at least till wars broke out. Somehow, I do not want to go back to that. Instead, I want to know more. I want to see what happens if he wakes me up. Some people like the occult. They want to develop powers for themselves. They want to be able to do things that you and I would not be able to do. Wanting this and getting it is not the same thing. Even people who want things in everyday life may or may not get their heart's desire. People who want powers have even more trouble getting them. Love is more important, but not everyone knows this. Love is its own power. If you love something intensely enough, it will come to you. This is a universal law like gravity. Gravity is always working, so is love. Love is the law of attraction. What are you attracted to? This is universal. Everyone, consciously or unconsciously, loves something or someone. You can't help it. It's built into your heart and mind. This is powerful. Even the coward, when he gets motivated with love, will do what even heroes would be afraid to try. All this makes me wonder why this man is so keen that we should love him. I like love, but love him? Still, I'm attracted to what he says. He does not waste words, and I like that. He says he wants to wake me up. Let's see what that is all about. I am thinking of going to India. I heard that in India there are some people who know about such things. They are capable of doing what you can only dream of. These things are called miracles. As long as you don't know how to do it yourself, they call it a miracle or magic, so long as you can't do it too. Just because they live in India does not mean anyone can do this. Such persons are rare. But if you can find one, then he can teach you what you have never known before. Lucky me. I heard of someone. Like a diva, he told me something like the mysterious man. High above me he was, but he did not look down on me. These were his words. Do not ask God for money, fame, power, health, or children, but seek his grace, and it will lead you to eternal bliss. Bliss, is it? Eternal? That means no end ever. I would like to try that. I'm just an ordinary person. What do I know about divine things? Still, it sounds good. Certainly worth trying. Show me what to do. Let's see if I can achieve eternal bliss too. What else did he say? The only miracle of a perfect one is to make others perfect too. To make them realize the infinite state which he himself enjoys. That is a real miracle. I think I would like that too. From what I was told by none other than him, when I asked, what do you experience in your infinite state? He explained that he sees himself as the self of everyone behind all the bodies and minds everywhere. This is not your experience. You see yourself separate from everyone else. If you could have my experience, you would enjoy unconditional love and the bliss that is without limit. With my help, my experience can be yours. Everything he says is overwhelming. I'm a simple man. I never thought about such things. Does he want to make me into a god? His experience sounds to me like that of God. It sounds good, but beyond anything that I ever thought of as good. I'm willing to try things, but this is more than anything I ever heard of before. Perfect people, unlimited bliss and love, one self for all behind every body and mind. I don't know about this. I can't imagine myself being like you. I want to talk to my girlfriend. She liked the mysterious man and wanted to hear more. Wait till she hears this. I'll see if she still wants to hear more. My girlfriend likes science. She likes new things. Anything that appears like magic. Go to a store and watch the doors open. No one opens them, but the doors know you came and will open by themselves. For thousands of years, this would have been called magic. Now it's called science. She likes that. Show her something new, and she will love you for that. Now she likes me. Go figure it. I like a pretty blue-eyed girl. I won't refuse brown eyes. A sweet personality to go along with that is my ideal. If she can dance and laugh at my jokes, all the better. I have a friend that loves fat girls. According to him, the bigger they are, the more there is to love. Everyone has their own taste when it comes to love. I'm just glad my girl likes me back. I think she is smart. She likes people who know more than her. She is a fast learner. The mysterious man is right up her alley. I know she won't rest until she knows all about him. One day they will meet. I want to be there to see what happens. I'm on my way back to India again. I'm not going just to see the sights like the Taj Mahal. It is so beautiful. It sits there like a song. You can hear. It sings to you of long-lost love. You can't help but have your heart touched. It can make you cry. I want to see that wise man again, who sees himself everywhere like God. He wants me to be able to do that too. Why did he pick me? I'm not sure I'm ready for this. My father didn't want me to go. He said, I won't give you the money for such a trip. He said, tell your smart friend to send you a flying carpet. He was mocking me and any idea I had of going. So I took my dad's advice and told my all-knowing friend I wanted to see him again. But my father took away all my money and I could not go. What am I to do? So my friend told someone he knew to pay my way on Air India Airlines, also known as the Flying Carpet Airline. My friend had a great sense of humor and gave Dad what he mockingly requested. When Dad heard what happened, he was shocked. There was silence for a while. Then he said something from his heart. Your friend must really love you. Some people pray to God for help. They say nothing happened. But I say, did you do it right? Did you do it with all your heart? God is a great lover. He loves everyone. Unless you do it with your heart, he won't hear it. He likes love, just like you. Do it again, but this time with your heart and soul. Then see what happens. I'm an old God lover. Although for years I had no idea what God is. I just knew if I was troubled, I would go to him. My mother told me that. So I would blindly ask this invisible being for help. Now it was time to wake up. So I will go to India again. Maybe something will happen when I meet my friend who wants to wake me up. In the meantime, I live in a place that has glass doors and overlooks a pond where ducks swim. They are a happy bunch with little ducks that just hatch from their eggs swimming behind their mama duck. The pond is filled with fish. The duck has just to open its mouth and a fish is sure to swim into it. I see this duck paradise in my backyard. If a human wants paradise, it is the same thing. Give the human what it likes, and heaven is here on earth. So what if it's just a dream? If I like it, that is all that matters. Don't tell that to the few who are awake. It will go over with them like trying to fly a lead balloon. Children must play. But you have to grow up someday, and when you do, you will need to put your playthings aside. Now it is time to awaken to what is more beautiful than what any dream ever could be. Who is this man who says he wants to wake me up? I'm off to India again. I have a friend, he is a scientist. I told him what I was doing, that I'm going to India to meet a very wise man. He tells me that the wisest men are the scientists, who are advancing civilization with technologies and inventions that the world could never imagine before. I remember my father telling me something like that. When he was a young man, he couldn't believe that a car was made that could move without anyone pulling or pushing it. He thought this was a great marvel, that a machine could do that. No horse was necessary. Now we take it for granted what he thought was a marvel. So my friend, the scientist, was mighty impressed with what the mind of man could achieve. But then I remembered what the wise man in India said about science. He told me, when divine knowledge is achieved in the wakeful state, it is universal and includes the knowledge to which nothing can be added or subtracted. That science is far from the core of material things and hasn't even scratched the outermost fringes of spiritual things. When I asked him what are spiritual things, he explained, it is the journey through the higher planes of energy and mind. These planes are all in you, but science does not know about the laws that govern these inner planes. So I told my scientist friend, there are people in this world that have gone far beyond what science has accomplished. He said he would like to meet someone like that, but he was amazed that I thought so. He wanted to know, what is this wakeful state that contains such knowledge? It seems impossible that anyone could claim to have that. If he was to believe it, he wanted proof. I liked that my friend was at least open-minded about what I told him. I will tell him if he wants proof, then come with me to India and you can meet this wisest of men. Beyond science, this I gotta see. If I go with you to prove there is no such thing, still I am impressed by what you say. You actually believe this? It makes no difference to me if he believed me or not. If he goes, it will make a difference to him. Little does he know what he is in for. But then there is my girl. She is practically jumping out of her underwear to go, to coin a phrase. She wants to meet this wisest of men that she is hearing about. She wants to know if he will enlighten her too. When a ship travels the seas or a plane zips you through the air, it does not matter where you are going. You want to enjoy the journey. The sights, the sounds, even the smells. It's all part of the fun of getting to where you're going. I love traveling as long as I have a destination of my choice. I could go anywhere and be happy just getting there. India is not special to me. Such men who know it all could be living anywhere, even under the ice cap in the Arctic. I go to the person, not the place. Just the same, bliss and love has always been appealing to me. So that is where I am going this time. My life too is a journey. I don't always know where it will take me. I get born and the first thing they tell me is that I will die someday. What was the hurry? Couldn't they wait a while and tell me later? Anyhow, I was too young to care. I had my whole life ahead of me. I came in a blank. Knowing about my future was not possible. But if I were to know, would I like it? My dad was not a mafia don running every illegal operation, gambling, prostitution, drugs, and paying off police and judges so things could go on smoothly. Sometimes things got so bad he would have to lay off some of the judges. That's just a joke. But my father was not in the mafia. He was a real estate professional. Very honest. He never cheated on his taxes, but he was as smart as a whip and was always the best salesman. That was my upbringing. He wanted me to go into real estate, but I had no interest in that. When I was a teenager, I found out about God. I said, I want God. I had no idea what I was saying. God? What is that? Is he a man sitting on a throne ruling everyone? Good guys go to heaven, bad guys suffer in hell. Is this what he does? Or, as I found out later, that God is a state of consciousness which is everywhere in everything. That's consciousness for you. Every creature from the microbe to humans, to advanced souls, to God himself, has consciousness to one degree or another. So it is said the goal is to become one with God, which is the same as saying to become one with the God state of consciousness. If you want that unlimited state of consciousness as your own, if you want to enjoy infinite bliss, love, knowledge, power latent within you, then find someone who has it and get his help. You may ask, are there people like that? I am told just a handful in the world of billions of people. But they are there. Now you know what to do. No doubt most persons have no interest in this and are satisfied to live their standard mundane lives. But if you happen to be one of those who want this, then this is for you. I love animals. Some are so human-like. They want nothing but your love. How many humans can say that? The man I'm going to see in India is like that. For all his wisdom, there is nothing you can give him, because he wants nothing you have. Real knowledge knows about love too. That is why everyone likes him, including his many pets, a dog, a goat, a cat, a bunny, a horse, a zoo of all kinds of creatures. He is always smiling. He likes jokes. He likes music. He will even listen to a singer who sounds like a frog. Plays and entertainment goes over big with him. But throughout all of this, you can't be frivolous with him or take him for granted. He likes you, but you can't fool with him. He will remind you of who he is. He would say, I am not the body. You have to see me as I really am. I'm all for that. I wanted to see him as he really is, just like he says. When will that be? Just be handy. He will decide your time. When it happens, the time will be now. One day, after I arrived, he was discoursing. He was saying how hard it can be to be human. People come to him to solve their problems with money, relationships, addictions. A skater came wanting to win the tournament. A boy wanted to be a famous actor. A man came wanting to rule the world. So many wants, and they come to me for supernatural help. To fulfill the many dreams they have. I tell them all I will help them, but my help is to give them more than what they could ever imagine. He would say that his help was to make them independent, so they would never have to ask anyone for help again. You will become what I am. Then when others come for help to you, you can do the same for them as I do for you. Humans are always in some kind of trouble, But when you wake up and see it was only a dream, then your troubles are over and you begin to live your life without limits. When I became conscious of my real self, I became everything I ever wanted to be. What a wonderful state that is. You will love it. My scientist friend was hearing this. My girlfriend was hearing this. I was hearing this. This is too much. We all had what to think about. The question was, what will we do now? My scientific friend said, why don't they teach this in school? This is like nothing I have ever heard. He goes far beyond what present-day science knows. This man has mastered the mind and consciousness. I didn't know such people were alive and that I could meet them. I could see his life was already changing. I knew it would. My girlfriend, too, was agog. She kept saying how much she liked the feelings he had for all creatures. Everyone was precious to him. He wanted to help everyone who came to him. A good heart could win her over easily. As for me, I'm a hard nut to crack. I don't believe so easily. But I must admit, this man had gotten through to me. There are great astrologers in the world. They call it an old science. They can tell you all kinds of things about yourself just by knowing your birth date. Somehow, the alignment of the planets determine what kind of person you are, and you can know your shortcomings and strengths. How some planet millions of miles away can affect your personality and life is not explained. At least I don't know what it is. Just the same, there are people who will swear by it, and others who swear at it. So what do the masters say about that? When a great astrologer came one day to the master of life and death, he asked if the master believed that the stars guided human destiny. The master liked this man because he was sincere. Then he told him, if you follow me, I will teach you how to guide the stars. The mind has always been a wild place to live in. You can imagine anything. You can cook up the best ideals or anything else you want. It's all there for you to materialize your dreams. Such a great play of thoughts and feelings. Desires galore. Pick one out and make it your own. Such a mind we have. A smorgasbord of anything you want can be found on this table. You've heard of mind readers? They too say they can tell you what you are thinking. They can look into your head and advise you what will work and what won't, whether it be romantic interest, business dealings, or classroom studies. So this man comes to the man who is one with everyone's mind. He tells the master, I don't understand this. I can penetrate the mind of anyone, but when I try to read yours, it is blank. There is nothing there. How can that be? So he informs him, I do not think with the individual mind. I think with the universal mind, which contains the minds of all beings everywhere. For you to know my thoughts, you would have to raise your mind to the necessary mental level. Then you could know my universal thoughts. We think food has nothing to do with mind readers and astrologers. But good food has everything to do with everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. If you have a body, then eat you must. You don't have to be the man of great mystery or a saint on some high plane among the many existences within you. Give them something good to eat, and they will drop what they were doing and scoff it up before you can tell me something I don't know. But if I do manage to ask the question, then there is the answer that one man got. He was really quite sarcastic when he asked that. He was much more concerned with the tasty munchies in his mouth. I'll tell you something you don't know. Something no one knows. Even I don't know what I will say next. But since you asked, there is something else more important that you don't know. For this I will bring in my girlfriend and ask her. Women are good at this. Love is right up their alley. Tell me, my sweetheart, tell me something I don't know. So she said very simply, I love you. You don't know how much. You didn't know that. But that was not all I heard about love. The man in India also had something to say. According to the law that governs the universe, all suffering is your labor of love to unveil your real self. I love my girlfriend and I love that man in India. What a force love is. Like he says, it can take me to the heights I can't even imagine, even to my real self, which contains the same love everyone feels. Who knew I would become the self of everyone? As I said, I can't imagine what that is like. To know this, I have to go to school. In this school, there is no classroom or teachers to tell you what to do or learn. But just the same, going to school is necessary. This school is called life. Anyone who goes will become better than what they went in. The pains and pleasures, the push and pull of so many opposites, for as many lifetimes as it takes, will have its effect. Whatever monster lives in you will be tamed to become the sweetest pussycat. Guaranteed guaranteed what this school can do. This school has a reputation. It can claim that anyone who ever came here left better than when they entered. I saw a man who hated everyone. What a piece of work he was. Then he went to this school. Piece by piece, he was taken apart by the pains and pleasures he was given. He didn't know what unconditional love was when he started. He had a pretty full mind, but now his mind was changing. He was shown beauty. Who doesn't like beauty? He was given a mentor who showed him how to paint beautiful people and sculpture them too. His curiosity was awakened, so he started to invent new things. He discovered music. Now he was beginning to also harmonize with strangers. Then, to top it off, he met the schoolmaster who manages this school of life. This master is the one who the world is always waiting for. Now he is told that whatever stands in his way will be removed. You will see your own light and will enjoy your own unlimited bliss, the source of all happiness. You will be the same person, but now you will graduate and will do like I do. Love unconditional. No one is left out. Oh my, the school of everyday life has a big job to do. What will I do when I graduate? Again the man from India speaks. I am the ocean and can absorb all your burden. My life is short. There is no way I can last long. In this short life I have, I can still do a few things that can last even after I am gone. My girlfriend is one of the things that will last. She likes love and masters whose words never die. And me too, who will live in her mind for as long as she lives. If I have kids, they too will remember my deeds and will tell others. If they write a book, I'm sure to be in it. I can live a long time this way, even if I'm not here. There was a man I knew who gave long talks. Many times he would start off his talks by saying, I want you all to know that I don't know anything. Now you can ask me anything you want. This didn't stop anyone from asking their questions to the man who just said he didn't know anything. Still, he was an interesting man because he had spent his life living with a man who was a real master and did know everything. He had so many stories to tell of what happened living with him. Living with a great master is different than living with your family or any other person. The master has an inner life where he uses his almighty powers and great love to help others caught up in the problems of everyday life. However, he does not display such abilities for others to see. On the surface, he is just a loving man who cares and helps whoever comes to him. But inwardly, the energies of the cosmos and knowledge of all things are searing through his mental body. He knows what to do in every part of the universe, including this speck of a planet we call Earth. He is a godsend because he is in the God state of consciousness that permeates all beings. Still, looking at him with these two eyes, one could not know this unless he tells you. So a disciple is called over by the master to help him with his inner work. He tells him, we are going to sit down for dinner. I want you to keep eating even if everyone stops and even if I tell you to stop. I want you to keep eating, no matter what is said by me or anyone else. Will you do this for me? So the man agrees and will do as he is instructed. The dinner begins. All are seated. The food is served. All begin to eat. Everyone is happy, enjoying the food, when the master's stomach begins to growl. At first, no one pays attention, but the growling continues and keeps getting louder. Now everyone stops eating to see what can be done. But the man does not stop and continues to eat. Soon the other disciples tell him to stop to figure out how to help the master. But he does not stop and eats even more. Then the master says to him, stop your eating, don't you see I'm in pain? Instead of stopping, he continues to eat as merrily as before. Now everyone is angry with him. The master says, how can you eat when I'm suffering like this? But he eats unfazed. Finally, the master's stomach calms down and everyone leaves the table. Now the master calls over this man and hugs him. He tells him, you obeyed me 100%. I am so pleased with you. Very few could have stood up to all the others, including to me, under the conditions you faced. You have helped me in my inner work, and for that, you have pleased me very much. When I was a boy of 15, there was a bully who waited for me to come home from school. He was also about my age. His father taught him how to box and fight. I did not know how to do that. As soon as he would see me, he and his buddies would come up to me and want to fight me. This happened every time I would come home from school. One day he said, today I will hit you. Fight me, he would say. I knew he would beat me, so I thought, what can I do to suffer the least damage? So I thought, if I can get him to wrestle me, at least I would not get pounded. So I challenged him and told him he would not dare wrestle me. When he heard that, he had to accept my challenge so as not to show fear in front of his gang. Now we were wrestling on the ground, rolling this way and that. Finally I said, "You win." We both got up. He was very happy and went on his way without me getting beaten up in the fight. My brother too was not spared. He was standing on a swing in the playground. This same kid who wanted to fight me would hit my brother whenever the swing would swing down. He would laugh and hit him again when the swing would come down low. My brother would cry, but he would keep going no matter what. I was on the side watching this, so I decided this has to stop. So I yell over to the kid to distract him. "You better not try that with me." So now he stops and looks at me. He comes over to me and hits me a few times. Now he is satisfied and leaves. My brother gets down from the swing and it is over. At school there was another bully. He was bigger and older than me. He would have fun teasing me every day and poking fun at me. He would enjoy this very much. I thought, as long as he doesn't get violent, I will ignore him. Let him say what he wants. This went on till the semester was almost over. Then one day I decided I had enough of this harassment. So when he came up to me for the usual teasing, I surprised him. I stood my ground and told him I would beat him to a pulp if he spoke to me again. I said it as ferociously as I could. He was shocked. This never happened before, so he left. He was obviously bigger and stronger than me and could have smashed me. But enough was enough, and I was ready to fight him. He left, and I did not see him for some time. Then one day he came over to me to do his tease, but now the semester was over, so I did not see him anymore. I have learned that when the mugger comes to beat you on the head, to take your money, or he invades your home with a gun to hurt anyone who stands in his way, or the robber wants to rob the bank of the people's money, or the violent man wants to kill the kids in the school, then stop them you must. This is your reality, even if in the greater sense, as the masters say, it is all illusion and passing. It is nothing into nothing. Still you must deal with the nightmare, because it is your reality. You cannot help it till such time you are awakened to see it as a vacant dream. Then the nightmare cannot affect you. I love these masters. They are really on top of it. The worlds of Maya is the great illusion that looks like it is real, but it is your consciousness beyond that which is real. You make us dance to a tune that is beyond what the intellect can understand. If you love music, then this is one love song that both God and man have been singing to each other since the beginning of time. Once again, as the great man in India said, "Through ages of darkness and suffering, mankind awaits me and my truth. I and the truth which I bring are inseparable, one from the other. I have only love to give, and all I want is love. I want every one of you to make me yours, as you already eternally are mine." Now I ask, what happens to the man who becomes the apprentice of such a master who is no longer bound by the laws of nature or man, who is beyond the limits of time and space and even the universe we live in, who is beyond the imagination of the mind. I don't know what happens, but I'm going to find out. There was another man who did the same thing. He too wanted to find out. This is what happened to him when he found out. He wrote this: I was relieved from the tyranny of material existence. What a wondrous miracle it is to be the slave of the Master. I became the dust of his feet, and he raised me to the highest. The Master raised me to the state of eternity. He verily gave me eternal life. The moment I fell into the snare of the tresses of the beloved, the Master said, "You are relieved from all misery." It was by the grace of my Master and the good wishes of my fellow disciples that I was given eternal release. Rejoice, rejoice, and rejoice again, for Hafiz has realized the divine beloved. Do you know there are ducks swimming in the pond outside my window? The baby ducks swim behind the mama duck in a row. I feel like a baby duck swimming behind you. Wherever you go, I will go too. Such is my life, to be imprinted with what you are and do. I may be your apprentice, though you have never called me that. But I am watching you very carefully. I want to know how you can do anything. No one else I know can do this. You also have a big heart. You give love and receive it so freely. I like that. I want to do that too. I will continue to follow you wherever you go. Someday, I know, I will have little ones of my own. They will follow me like I follow you. Now here is a poem I wrote of the house of the Master, titled Mama and Papa. You built a house, but no one lives in it. This house would never sell, even though everyone wanted it. He was the great dream maker who made the real world. In his kitchen, he could make anything. He was an expert cook. He had a recipe for everything. Once the thinking started, this cook could materialize it. He could cook up stars with their planets and all their populations of human and subhuman bodies and minds of every kind. He was a master of the rise and fall of entire civilizations. He knew his way around this kitchen. His recipes are not given out freely. No abuse was allowed by the uninitiated. There is a dining room where you serve the most tasty delicacies, but they cannot be eaten by the mouth. Still, everything must be digested. The greatest musicians, artists, leaders, and even saints sat at your table. They ate your food of genius, knowledge, and love. You filled their plates to overflowing, till even they could eat no more. In this house, there is a bedroom, not for sleeping, but for staying awake forever. It is a place of great rest, where the energy of sleep is gotten without losing consciousness. a place of great solitude, where it is possible to be in touch with all that exists. The bliss of sleep, while fully awake to do everything. Such a happy state cannot be described in your bedroom. This house also has a living room. You allow visitors that you invite. You show them how to live. There is no sin here. He who comes to this living room tells the truth and hears the truth. All minds here are transparent. Lies and deception have nowhere to hide. So in your living room, it is easy to find what is real. No excuses here. Who am I? What am I? What is my place in the universe? Do I have a soulmate? Lots of questions. In your living room, I learned to live without needing to speak. You teach by showing, by doing. This house has a laundry room and bathroom. Dirty, depressing, ignorant thoughts and feelings are cleaned here. Once the cleaning starts, nothing can stop it. You come here to relieve yourself of the sins of the world. You flush them into your ocean of light, love, and energy. Nothing is wasted. They return clean, beautiful, and ready for use again. Such is the Master's bathroom in this house. Yet even you do not live in this house. You visit it once in 1,000 years. It is very old, but you built it to stand the rigors of time. This is the house that will never be sold, even though everyone wants it. You are my mama and papa. You love me and take care of me. You have a world full of children, young and old. When each are ready, you gather them together to take them home to your house whenever you come. I have a son now. He doesn't live with me. He does not do drugs, gambling, crime, or kill anyone. So much is going on these days. For some, living a normal life in our population is not so normal these days. But I have also found that even the worst of these characters want to better themselves if they can. Some want to get better at being a successful criminal who does not get caught, while others want to get back to living normal lives and do science, business, acting, social activities, and then there is that few who want God. There was another man I knew. He told me it can be tough wanting God. He had an old feeling of someone calling him to come closer. Not a voice, just a feeling. I am wanted. That feeling, he told me, he realized was always there. But there were so many other issues in his life blocking it. He said his mind was overflowing with so many cares. There was no time to let such feelings flourish, or even notice they were there. But now he was ready to follow a new path. He will see where it leads. So what to do? You can try religion. They talk about God. There are yogas with so many systems and paths you can follow that claim to take you higher up. There are so many disciplines, meditations, and even all sorts of exercises that you can learn. Even unorthodox paths in the occult to get powers that some people want. They too try to advance themselves. What will you do? If you get that old feeling, then I recommend that man in India, or even that mysterious man we bump into sometimes. They are not the usual types and don't belong to any formalized teachings. But in your case, they may seem to know all about God. They seem to be where you would want to go. The man in India told about himself and what he can do that would affect you and everybody. Here is what he said. Then I want to hear what you think. I have not come to establish any cult, society, or organization, nor even to establish a new religion. The religion that I shall give teaches the knowledge of the one behind the many. The book that I shall make people read is the book of the heart that holds the key to the mystery of life. I shall bring about a happy blending of the head and the heart. I shall revitalize all religions and cults and bring them together like beads on one string. So I asked him, are you sure you want this? If so, this is the type of person you will need to help you, if it is God you want. Children will be children. The young are full of fresh ideas. Games and play are what they like. All the old ones who can barely move now were once running all the time. No one cared to walk in those days. My, how things have changed. Even the great lords who rule over so many were once little suckling babies, just kids who were starting out in life. Some will become homeless. Some will live in palaces. All will live and will meet their ends equally. But regardless of the kind of end, there are also those who want to know what comes now after the end arrives. Now things get interesting. What now? Those who can see will tell you. They see your many lives. Dying of the body does not interfere with this. You can get born as many times as you need to, in order to gain all the experiences a short life can provide. Each time you get a new brain with a new body, a clean brain with no old memories. New memories can now be made without old ones to get in the way and trouble you. In the afterlife, all memories, past and present, are assimilated, and you advance. You are in good hands all the time. Suffering and pleasure has been around a long time and is good for you till it is over in this great ocean of endless time. I like the love part. Love is good. Everyone likes it. The good ones and the bad ones. No one says they don't like it. When love becomes energized, there is nothing like it. It is charming and beautiful, besides being powerful. Love can motivate anyone to do impossible things. Why do people willingly want to give their lives to save their children or family, to save their nation and all the people in it that they do not even know? It all has to do with love. There is no sacrifice that a man or woman will not do for the sake of love. Then there are the great masters who speak of love. They will tell you there is no law higher than love, whether it is a man-made law or a God-made law. Love is always supreme. What a man will do for love, he would not even do for duty by the commander of the army. He will choose to love what is precious to him every time. One master said, if you want God, love is the only path he will listen to. The blessings of becoming infinite in every way, in the ecstatic bliss of the soul, the powers of the creation, or the knowledge supreme is open to the man who craves it with all his heart. Only love can do that. If you want to be an actor, then go to school. Learn the profession, as all superstars have done. Even if you are not great, you can become a better person by pretending to be every person that lives. You will get to understand how others think and feel just by making believe you are them. In the real world, there are people whose minds are so advanced that they can fit into anyone else's mind to know all about you. How you really think, what you want, who you love. They will feel what you desire, and when you feel lost. They are the ones that can help you when you become helpless. Such advanced beings only come around when you call out to them in your desperation. You may not see them, but they hear your heart's call. The mind is everywhere, so distance does not stand in the way. The unseen world all around you is just as real as the visible world you see, with only the 5 senses in your body. Everyone is connected to everyone else, even if you don't see it. There will come a time when you will see what you cannot see today. Just like the sun, it shines, but you don't see it on the night side of the planet. What you cannot see is there, but there will come a time as the world turns when you will see it in all its glory. There is a lot I don't know, but it doesn't stop me from doing what I do know. Even when I am sleeping and don't know, it does not interfere with what I do know when I am awake. It is the same with the man who knows everything. He does not sleep. He is awake all the time, just like I will be someday. But there will be no difference between him and me. I can't help sleeping now, but when wakefulness comes in all its glory, I will not be able to help it either. The laws governing your awareness is as natural as breathing. No effort is necessary. Evolution does not require any help. Knowing everything has its advantages. It can make you all-powerful. Why? Because now you know how to do it. How to connect yourself to the universal powerhouse, whose energies move everything. Then there is the bliss state of experiencing your own being as unlimited. You can really enjoy this. You see and feel your connection with all life. Not like now, where you are separate from everyone else. Now you can feel lonely. That is not what you want. Anyhow, I say it is better if you become all-knowing. Even if you say, okay, how do I do that? My only answer is, go to the man in India. These are questions for him, not me. Here is what he says. There is only one question to ask, and when you know the answer to that question, there are no more to ask. Perfect masters can impart divine knowledge, bestow divine love, and shower the grace of God union by a mere glance, touch, or single divine thought. Now that doesn't sound too bad. It's only a matter of hanging out with the right people to get the right results. God is not just a word or a label. It is a state of consciousness that permeates everything. It is the God state of consciousness that you have latent in you. God is not someone else. You have heard God is in you. God loves you. God knows everything. That is because everyone and everything has some degree of consciousness, more or less. But we are told when it grows to fullness, as in the human form, then it is possible with the right guidance for your consciousness to see yourself as infinite instead of limited by gross body senses. That is the God state of all power, knowledge, love, bliss that was always latent in you. That now you experience it yourself. Sort of like going dancing. You can hear about it and even catch others having, and even watch others having fun. Now get out there and do it too. Fun is for everybody, even you too. My mind has always been a tricky thing. It can imagine anything, motivate me in any direction. If I see a wrong being done somewhere, it will tell me it is unfair and I should go fix it. For this there is no end. A new cause will always show up for me to try and fix. Rights and wrongs are all over the place in my mighty mind and what it sees. Is there no end to this? How can I get out of this circle? Has anyone ever gotten out of this tricky mind? Actually, the books are full of such people, rare as they are. But they are all dead. What about now? Who can show me a way out? What am I saying? Do I even know what I'm talking about? Still, the question is there. How do I get out of this circle? Every question is supposed to have an answer. Let's see what the answer is to this one. Before I get back to that, here is what happened to me. Since I am just an ordinary person like so many of us, I went shopping. Bananas, oranges, pickles went into my shopping bag. Nothing so high and mighty was in my mind like kings, presidents, dictators, or other world leaders. Just radishes, onions, and maybe a beer. As far as the world was concerned, it went on before I was here and will go on long after. For me, what is in the store is all I care about for now. However, like all things, it was not to last. Everything changes, and this was no exception. I fell in love. That's right, me in love? But I fell in love with an idea, although I will be the first to admit girls interest me too. Just the same, if I was going to love an idea, it better be a good one. No mediocre one will do. I must also admit this idea has been around for a long time, for ages actually, but now it was all mine. No one else was here to share it. Before I get around to telling you about that, I want to tell you the ducks did not come back to the pond in the yard outside my window. Is this a mystery? They have been coming for years, but now they don't show up. This may not be important for you to know, but if you were a duck, you might find it very important. I don't know why I am mentioning this, but in case you like ducks, maybe you need to know this. Now back to a good idea that I fell in love with. But first, why do some people think it is such a good idea to hurt people and hurt people big time? Genghis Khan was a prime example. I won't list all the other warlords. You can read about them in the history books. But for every really bad guy, there was also a really good guy. Someone who made sure you were not only cared for, but that you advanced into places better than any paradise you would have heard about. So what was my idea? It was to make sure I was one of those who could care for you, no matter if I were able to advance you or not. If you are happy, my work is done. If not, then I have work to do. If it is advancement you want, then I can send you to someone who's good at that. This man wrote a prayer. No ordinary prayer asking for things. This one describes the one who will answer your prayers. Here are some lines from his prayer. You are unlimited and unfathomable, beyond imagination and conception, and none can see you but with eyes divine. So as I said, if it is advancement you want, this man is designed for this. One more thing. In his prayer there is also a line, you are all merciful and eternally benevolent. I can say with no hesitation that he likes people more than anyone that I ever met. I liked him and he liked me. Instant chemistry. I saw how much chemistry he had with others who came too. I traveled all over the world and hardly saw anything. I was on a mission. There were people in the USA, India, Europe, Middle East, Australia, who had met the man I spoke of in India. Some actually lived with him. If you want to know someone, try living with them. It is one thing to be a guest, and quite another to serve them day and night. Now I want to interview them on film. Posterity will love this. What if there was the technology in the time of Lord Krishna, Jesus, Muhammad, to see them and hear what their disciples and those that met them had to say? First-hand accounts on film in our time. The man in India is like that. Here is something else he said about that, believe it or not. I created the media because I have a universal message to give to the world. Who is this guy who would dare say a thing like that? He talks like he is God. Anyhow, I wanted to hear what these people who lived with him and others all over the world who met him and those under his guidance had to say. I wanted the truth to be known by those who knew him. So I got my cameras out and went with my film teams to see them, to hear their stories. We would visit them and stay in their homes, eat food with them, and record day and night what they told us. I traveled all over the world and hardly saw anything. I was on a mission. There were people in the United States, India, Europe, Middle East, Australia, who had met the man I spoke of in India. Some actually lived with him. If you want to know someone, try living with them. It is one thing to be a guest and quite another to serve them day and night. Now I went to interview them on film. Posterity will love this. What if there was the technology in the time of Lord Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, Mohammed, to see them and hear what their disciples and those that met them had to say? First-hand accounts on film. In our time, the man in India is like that. Here is something else he said about that. Believe it or not, I created the media because I have a universal message to give to the world. Who is this guy who would dare say a thing like that? He talks like he is God. Anyhow, I wanted to hear what these people who lived with him and others all over the world who met him and those under his guidance had to say. I wanted the truth be known by those who knew him. So I got my cameras out and went with my film teams to see them, to hear their stories. We would visit them and stay in their homes, eat food with them, and record day and night what they told us. Here is one story in Karachi, Pakistan, where we are told she was a matronly older lady doing the dishes. Her son asked her to tell us what happened. She began by saying the master visited her this day. He was very happy just to go to her refrigerator, like any family member, and take out whatever he liked. He did not like to rest on a bed, but only on the floor on a mat. Then she told us, he said, "I am so pleased with you. Ask me anything, and I will grant it." Now she could ask anything to the man who had the power to do it. She could ask for lots of money, a good job for her son, to look young again, to be a queen or anything else. To everyone's surprise, she said, "I want to know how you run your universe." Then she told us from that night on, he took her out of her body and began showing her the many life streams in the cosmos, who his agents were running different realms, how evolution works, the different planes of consciousness in the worlds of matter, energy, and mind, their subdivisions, how to enter the past or future, how it is all happening now, the beginning and end of time. This went on for 2 years. Then one day, when he visited her home in his human form, she said to him, "You have shown me everything, how you run your universe, but there is one thing you did not show me." So he said, "Tell me." "You did not show me yourself." Then she said that was the last time he took her out. So I thought, now she asked for the real thing, not what he made, but to see the maker. Look what he did. He showed her everything he was not. So she would want to know at last what he was. How compassionate he was to satisfy her curiosity first. You can believe this or not, but I was there when she told it. Now, here is another one. I was in Simla, India. We went to visit Elcha, who would visit the master on many occasions. One day during one visit, he tells us, the master asked him and all his disciples gathered together if they were honest in their business. All raised their hands except Elcha. So the master looked at him and asked, "Are you not honest, Elcha?" So he said, 100% dishonest. Then he went on to explain that he is the manager in a potato seed company, that the good seed is mixed with the lower seed and sold as good seed only. So he says, that is not honest, but we do that. So Master says, why do you do that? Every company is doing that. If we do not, no one will buy from us. Our price would be too high. Then Master says, how do you get paid? Do you take money under the table? No, I only get a salary. The Master does not say anything. Continues with other matters. Later he calls Elcha aside. Is there anything you don't like working for the company? Elcha says yes. Every month they have a board meeting. They bring me up and say I'm making too much money and my salary should be cut. Then they table the motions and bring it up again the next meeting. I don't like that. Now Master says, will you do whatever I say? Elcha says yes. You say yes, But be sure of this. Better you should say no. At least you will not be held responsible before God and suffer consequences. Better you should say no. At least you will not be held responsible before God and suffer consequences than to agree and not do. Elcha says again, he will do whatever he is told. Just so everyone understands this is a big deal. In those days, it was very hard in India to get a good job, like what Elcha had. This was his livelihood. He could not afford to lose it. Still, he said yes, not knowing what he would be told. Next time there is a meeting, I want you to stand up and tell everyone you want a raise. Oh boy, let's see what happens now. On Elcha's next visit to the master, he was asked, "Did you do what I told you?" He said yes. The board was very surprised, so they tabled the motion again. Now again the master was very serious. "Are you still willing to carry out my orders to you? Remember, if you agree, there is no going back to what I say." "Yes, I will do it. Next time the board meets and you are brought up to cut your salary, I want you to stand up again and tell them, if they do not give you a raise, you will quit your job and leave." Now, this is a good one. Let's see how this plays out. Again, Elcha comes back with to the master. Again, he tells what happened. "I stood up and told them, I will quit if I don't receive a raise." Now, this is shocking. No one quits this job. This is hard to believe. So once again, the motion is tabled. Once again, he comes back and tells the master the outcome. Now this time, the master says, "There is more I want you to do. Are you ready? Be sure I will do what you say. When the meeting starts, you are to stand up and say, 'You must give me a raise now or I quit.' Then walk out." So Elcha says once again, "I walk out? Where will I go?" The master says, "Come here, be with me." And so this saga is about to reach its climax. What will happen now? Now Elcha comes back after a while to visit the master, but now nothing is mentioned as to what happened. After some months, Elcha is asked why he is here. Now he says, you said to come here if they did not give me a raise. So master asks someone, "Did I say that?" The person says, "Yeah, I was there. You did say it." Then master says, "Doesn't anyone want you?" So Elcha says, "As a matter of fact, I received a cable a while back of a very good offer, but I am here with you, so I did not answer." "What? You got this offer and did not tell me? Send a cable immediately and accept the offer and leave for the job." Now, the master was not done testing Elcha. As soon as he started the job on the first day, he gets another cable that says he should leave immediately to visit the master for 2 weeks. Now he goes up to the new boss and tells him he has to leave after being on the job for 1 day. So the boss says, "How long will you be gone?" He tells him 2 weeks. Now the boss says, "Okay, but be sure to start in 2 weeks." Elcha returns to the master. Now the master embraces him with hugs and kisses and tells him, "Elcha, you did everything 100%. I am so proud of your obedience. Now after you stay here, go back and start your new job. He told his story, and it is all on film. When I came back from these film trips, I still had to make a living. I needed to make money to survive. I had no trade or profession to go into, but I had a brain in my head that told me to start my own business. So what if I had no capital to start with? Would brain power be sufficient? So I found a man who had a car and tools to tune up and fix cars. He needed to make money also. I said, let's be partners. I will advertise and get the customers. You go out and fix the cars. I will take care of the calls, accounts, and all matters. So now I was in business. We did pretty good when he would work and didn't drink himself into a stupor. When I came back from the film trip, I had to find some kind of work. One time my brother was in New York peddling Snoopy Dog wall plaques on the street. I called him and asked him how he was doing. He said he was making $100 an hour selling these wall plaques. Wow, that was a lot of money. Who would believe a mere peddler, who most people would feel sorry for having to peddle on the street, was making more money than many workers on Wall Street where we were peddling. So I said, now I want to be a peddler and make a lot of money, like my brother. I had a lot of film that needed to be developed, or it would deteriorate. Developing film is expensive, not to mention my need to also survive. One day I saw a miracle when I was out peddling. It had been raining and no one was on the street to buy anything. I'm standing with my cart in front of a bank. Then what do I see? There is some money dancing on the street about 10 feet from me. I never saw money jumping up and down like someone had strings on it and was making it dance. But there was no one but there was no one with strings. I never saw anything like this before. So I go over to the money and snatch it up. This was going to make my day. Just then, a guard from the bank comes out. So I ask him if anyone lost or dropped any money. He gives me an odd look and walks away. So I'm thinking someone up there must have done this. This is not natural. You never know when help will come. But money dancing, that's a first. This reminds me of the stranger that said the strangest things I spoke of earlier. He could have been a spiritual agent, or maybe more than that. I was hoping to run into him again. I didn't have to hope for long, because when I went into a local bookstore, he was there and owned it. He had a daughter who was giving him the runaround. She was being quite contrary with him. But then he started talking to me about higher planes in the spiritual realm. He said he had reached the highest. He wanted to invite me to see a film about flying saucers. He thought I would find that interesting. Actually, I thought that was just an excuse to connect with me. I might have gone, but now I was interested in seeing the man in India. I'm really a lover of sorts, not the standard lover like so many guys. They want sex all the time with girls if they can get it. I have nothing against sex, but love is not the same. At least for me it is not the same. I will quote the man in India. He describes the way I feel. It is possible through love for man to become God. And when God becomes man, it is due to his love for his beings. So much talk about God. But to see God and then become that, He says it is possible. I will try that, whether anyone believes it or not. I don't listen to anyone when it comes to matters like this. I'm ready to try anything. No one has to convince me of anything. The best way to find out is to do it. Here is what he also said. There is only one way to escape this illusion, and that is, I repeat, to take my name, have remembrance, and love me. I am a lover, all right, a God lover. Now let's see what happens. I believe I also had a visit from an agent. This is what happened. I was standing in front of a concession stand to buy some refreshment. This was in the lobby of the building I was working in, when suddenly a woman bursts through the double lobby doors and rushes straight over to me. She stares at me, and I'm looking at her too. We are staring at each other, eye to eye. Not knowing what is happening, after a while I turn back around to the concession stand. This woman immediately rushes out as she had come and was gone. Masters have agents. Was that who she was? Even though I do not know anything for sure, she seemed to fit what I had heard about such people. She definitely had a purpose when she rushed in to look at me. I love this man in India. I have a picture of him that hangs on my wall. In the picture, he is looking at me as he did when I visited him. He is smiling at me. There is nothing else, just love. People that came to see him also felt loved. That is the mark of a true master. Even though he is reported to have helped so many people with their problems in ways that have no parallel to the ways of the world, it was still all about love that he did it. Once again, I will quote him. Although I am present everywhere in my formless infinite state, from time to time I take form, and the taking of the form and leaving it is termed my physical birth and death. Such is the words that so many follow, but love is the key that he came to give and receive for achieving his consciousness. To find yourself present in everyone, there is no greater love than to be in everyone's heart and mind, and care for each one as your own. No wonder I love him. There are people out there not like me. I heard of them in books mainly. Usually they lived a long time ago, thousands of years in most cases. It was interesting reading, but I never thought there was anyone living now. I read it's sort of like a fantasy story, even though they said it was true. These people are like today's superheroes we see in the movies. But there was a difference. They used their godlike powers to make you more like them than to remain as you are, not knowing from whence you came or where you will go once you move on from your life on earth. These people are living now, so I am told. If you need help, these are the ones who can provide it. I always liked hearing about such persons, but meeting one would be another matter. He could answer questions that even great scientists would wish to know. Such universally minded people are not like me or anyone I know. Still they are human and can give and receive love. I heard that they have big hearts and like to share what they are. They are like the man in India. They are said to have the same consciousness he does. This consciousness is not for one person only. There are others too who have made this inner journey. Bliss supreme and love is not the monopoly of any one person. Neither is beauty, art, or any other activity human or divine. This also holds true in all realms, including beings so advanced that even our wildest imagination cannot penetrate their experience. Boy, does this interest me. I think I was born for this. I have to meet them and share their experience. My turn is coming. I can feel it. One step at a time will get me there with the right guidance. They are the perfect masters of our age. Here is what some of them said. Without a guide, do not try to enter the path of love. I have failed hundreds of times by doing this so. Hafiz. Words have no meaning. Become the man of experience, and for that become effaced. Become dust at the feet of the perfect master. So said Rumi. If something is given by the master on his own, it is like milk. If asked for, it is like water. If forced, it is like blood. So said Kabir. I feel like I am in a sailboat. I need a strong wind to take me to my destination. There are many other boats out there. The wind is not selective. It will blow on all boats at the same time. We will all arrive together at the same destination. Those who serve the perfect guide will arrive at the destination. He is the wind. I am not the only one who likes love and destinations and perfect guides. My girlfriend is all for it too. She says, if you can do it, I can do it. I love that girl. She wants to be a part of whatever I do. What a great companion I have. But the truth is, I have many companions who want the same thing. I'm certainly not alone in this. Everyone is welcome, even though only a few out of the billions of people living will hear about this, and fewer still will join me. The news these days are filled with the possible end of democracy in the United States of America. There are people running for all kinds of offices. Who says that no matter who wins in future elections, they are committing themselves to putting in charge only those who they want, regardless of the people who the people voted for? People are voting for these people who openly say that I don't like that, and why anyone would vote for such people, I don't know. But what do? I remember. That is what I do. I don't worry about it. That's also what I do. You may wonder how I can be so cavalier about this. Simply because I remember what one great master told me, and told everybody. Remember who's running the show. He also went on to say, when he was in Italy, visiting the cave of where St. Francis used to meditate, that there was a meeting of the masters, and the course of the world for the next 2,000 years had been set. He also said, all this world confusion and chaos was inevitable, and no one is to blame. There was and is no way out except through my coming in your midst. I had to come, and I have come. I am the Ancient One. Apparently, the real guidance to humanity is not in the hands of who we look at as world leaders, whether they are elected or not, but in the hands of those who are responsible for leading you through the ages of time to reach the goal of unveiling yourself as unlimited and eternal. To the masters, the world leaders are like puppets on the string to draw the attention of humanity, while the real work of advancing everyone is going on behind the scenes. This is possible because the minds of everyone is in their hands, and so they can help each one in your own way. So again, they tell us, don't worry. Remember who is running the show. War is hard. Anyone in it will tell you that. It does not matter what side you are on. If you have to go to war, then try this. It's war. I have a war going on in my heart. I see how things are and how they could be. My sight keeps improving. I can see what was invisible before. A real warrior fights for a righteous cause, to protect the weak and to bring justice where it is needed. But I fight to bring love into the lives of the loveless. It is because of you that I am learning the art of war. I did not ask for this. Who knew that I would have to fight in the streets of my own mind? That I would have to brave the worst onslaughts of the temptations offered to me? How could I do anything for myself when I needed help myself? It's a good thing that you came into my life, the master magician of the soul. Without thinking, the transformation was happening. The great Armageddon was happening within me, the final battle that would bring me the God state. I expected that this war would be out there, but Jerusalem is in the heart where you are. It's war, and it always has been, till the battle is won. Everyone will be the victor, and everyone will enjoy the spoils, because it is your almighty love that conquers all. I am happy just to be me in peace and war. Someone once told me, in not so pleasant terms, I don't want to be you. So I replied, that makes two of us. One of me is plenty. I can't imagine it if you were me also. How many me's do we need? Two is just one too many. I'm glad you don't want to be me. What a relief. This reminds me of when the mafia man said, I don't trust anyone except one person. And even that is one too many. Those higher up beings tell of becoming one with everyone. It's just that there is so many billions of us. I can't even count that high. Just the same, no one seems to mind. Neither they or any of us that they become one with. Becoming one is great for the one that can do it. Who would not want to see yourself as family to everyone and able to touch the heart of anyone? I did something for my father. He needed a lot of help, even though he didn't know it. My father was a self-made man. He called himself the Acreage King. He loved business because he was so good at it. He was very sure of himself and thought he was right about everything. He was not one to admit he was wrong about anything. I don't know how many people are like that. Such persons have very fixed views. He also was having a lot of back pain, but he seldom complained about it. He told me when he was a young boy, his grandfather in Russia used to beat him on his back. He thinks that is why he has so much pain now. Yet he was also a chronic complainer. He could complain all day about one thing or another. This was not mere dissatisfaction, this was a sickness. No one knew what to do about it. He did not like psychiatrists or any mental health professionals that could have helped. He thought he was fine. He would go to his office, and there the world was perfect. Nothing was going to change. So I wrote to the man in India about his condition and need to help him. This was my last resort. It would take a superconscious soul to know what to do. Help came. First, he was inspired to go to Mayo Clinic for his back problem. They designed a back massage to straighten his spine. That helped his pain a lot. But a different approach was needed for his chronic complaining habit. He was also very afraid of death. I loved my father, but he was really a piece of work. It would take a miracle or a super being to get through to him. The miracle part I don't know about, but the super being I had more faith in. The second thing my superconscious friend did was pour a lot of love on him. He would be surprised what powerful medicine that is. Of course, my friend in India, being who he is, was quite capable of helping dear old Dad in many ways not visible to us, in addition to what was visible. So I told my father about him. Boy, did he get upset. The first thing he thought, I was following a fake. Then he thought this man is trying to steal away my love for the family to himself. To prevent all this, he would write to this spiritual con man and tell him he was on to him. So my daddy writes this hot letter, accusing the master of everything he can think of. Now, masters are not masters for nothing. He knows how to deal with any mind that approaches him. So now my father gets a letter back. It was along these lines which I am paraphrasing. I understand your concerns. You love your family and want the best for them. I also want them to care for you and help you all they can. Family harmony is what I like. They can visit here when opportunity affords. I send you and your dear family my love and blessing. My father liked this letter, but was still very upset and didn't want us going to India for any visits. So he would write again, but this time he restricted his bitching just to me and my brother, saying how we would steal the family's money, that we were liars and no one could believe a word we say. He even went so far as to say that we were wanting to take the place of the master. He would say this was a warning he was giving, that we were not to be trusted and the master should be warned now and tell us not to go see him. So now good old Dad had no trouble making a case for himself in order to keep our love for him and the family and not give it to anyone else. We knew that our Indian friend and master would not be fooled by such rantings. So I was not worried about Father's complaints. I was glad he was making a connection with someone who could truly help him to advance on the path to the Oversoul. Now the years were going by, and Father had calmed down and was no longer suspicious of the Master and started to call him his friend. They would exchange letters with each other. He would say when he got a letter, it was like reading the Bible. Hearing this, I asked if he was his best friend. He said he would let me know in a few days, but not to ask him again. Sure enough, we are riding in the car, and he tells me he did not forget what I asked. Then he started to name each of his friends and would tell me everything wrong with each of them. Finally, he came to the Master. Then he said, yes, he is my best friend. He understands me. When this great Master passed away, my father wrote this poem, titled My Friend. A man who follows in the path of a Master is never lonely, for he lives in the guiding light of love. Never shall he fear when the Master is near. To me, he is my friend. His passing is not the end. Eternally, I shall feel his guiding hand. Morris Locke. Like I said before, love is the best medicine when it comes from my friend in India. Before he died at the age of 94, the transformation was complete. When Father told me, now I am one of you. You just can't beat love when you find it. Some say death cures all ills, but I say love does a better job. My dad was on his deathbed. All his life he was very nervous and fearful of dying, but God and his angels had plans for him. He was in the nursing home and was blind. He had colitis that was so bad that his bowels would not stop running. He had no control. He was also in a lot of pain and was totally bedridden. His mind was clear and he could speak, but he was very weak. His only pleasure was when he would eat. He could still enjoy the taste of food, but now he was beginning to choke on swallowing the food. The nursing home wanted to know if I would give permission to put a feeding tube into his stomach so he would not have to eat with his mouth. Poor Dad. He had no quality of life left at all compared to the man he used to be. I spoke to my brothers and we decided it was best to take him off of life support. It would be better he would find a new life as the masters have described. Now here is what happened that was so perfect. A few days before he died, a man was brought into the room. He was put into a bed with a curtain separating his bed from Father's. This man started speaking non-stop in Spanish. This went on for a couple of days, till my friend Danny came for a visit. He was Spanish, so he asked me if I knew what the man was saying. I said, no, I don't understand the language. Then he tells me, this man is talking to your father. He is saying that he has nothing to fear, his time has come, and now a great welcome is being prepared for him. Soon you will feel no pain, and you will be very happy. There will be a great company of angels who love you and are welcoming you. The Lord himself is very happy with you and awaits your arrival. You have nothing to worry about. You are being taken good care of. You have finished all your responsibilities to your family, your work, and to everyone of your contacts on earth. Now you are free to go. God has blessed you and wants you to be happy in His love for you. I am paraphrasing a lot, but this is the gist of what this man was telling my dad till he expired, while I was holding his hand. As soon as my father passed, this man stopped his rapid and continuous talking. There was a woman who was by his bedside. So I asked her if he always talked so much. She said, no, he is mostly a quiet man, but when he speaks, it is somewhat mysterious what he says. Here is what I think masters have agents to help them in their work. This man must have been one of those agents. He came with a definite purpose. Obviously, he was there to help my father to make the transition as fearlessly and as comforting as possible. Such is the Master's merciful compassion for those who are connected to him, regardless of how they came to him. Now I will tell you about the fire that did not burn me. I used to play with this fire. I called it cold fire. It burned at a very low temperature, not like the fire you cook with. I would pour the solution on a rag, light it, and let it burn in my hands. Everyone who saw this was amazed. I could put on a show doing this. Then one day when I was visiting the Master, and we were riding together in the car, I was sitting next to him and thinking strongly. He noticed this and asked me what I was thinking. So I said, I would like to know God as He really is. Now the Master asked me if I was willing to pay the price. Just then I saw in my mind a picture of being burned at the stake. Now there was a long pause. I was thinking, if that would be the price, how could I stand it? But then without speaking, the Master patted me on my leg to let me know not to worry about it or think about it. He would take care of it. Whether fire is burning hot or cold does not matter. God and man have been playing this game with fire for ages. Fire has always been a part of all we do. Whether the great Lord uses it in the burning bush to give Moses the laws, or we use it to cook our meals or make fireworks just to entertain ourselves, or whether He uses it to create a big bang to start a universe. Fire was always handy for so many things. Now I feel I'm on fire. I'm hot to trot to know the one that made it all. I was married at that time to a most lovely lady that could sing with the voice of an angel. She passed away from cancer. I will love her forever. This was 26 years ago. Sometime later, I had a beautiful girlfriend who attempted suicide. Now it turned out that my girl, as you can well imagine, was going through some distressing times. So she emptied the pill bottle into her stomach. Death was sure to follow. But then an amazing thing happened. She knew of the great Master of life and death, the same one in India that I spoke of. Very few of all the people on the planet even know of him or invited his help. Most would not believe such a man could exist. Just the same, she knew and called out his name. He had said that all those who followed him, or even those who just knew of him, if they called to him in time of crisis, he would hear the call and come and help. So my girl, who was committing suicide, called out to him. She said she left her body. Then he came and tells her to finish the work of typesetting the book, Lord Mayor, that she had been working on. With that, he threw her back into her body. She woke up and was fine and left the hospital. There are worlds I see and there are worlds I don't. But I leave it to those who know their way around the block to safely lead me. Some people want to colonize the moon, Mars, and other planets right here in our solar system. We love adventure and doing things never done before. This is just the beginning. Intergalactic space is also just waiting to be colonized too, if only we could get there. The universe is big, and we live on a small dot of a planet, but leave it to humans. If there is a way, we will find it. No place is beyond our reach once we know it is there. Well, the universe, big as it is still tiny when compared to what I heard of. There is another realm, much bigger and so beautiful that no one who ever enters it wants to leave. Even those who just hear about it and want to see this place are struck and stuck with only the thought. How will you go to a place that you don't even know where it is? So prayers go out. Maybe someone will hear it that knows what to do and comes to your aid. That, my friend, is how you do things you don't know anything about. This is an old friend and this is an old tried and true method. It works every time, but hardly anyone knows about it. That is why they fail. Entering this realm is where the powers are, things you can't do on earth. Earthlings cannot believe what they cannot see. The energies of shape, forms, and colors you see here is filled with a happiness that charms your heart in 1,000 ways. No wonder no one wants to leave once they get there. My friend in India knows about the universe and this place too, but he is not impressed. To him, give it enough time and it will dissolve into nothing, like everything else does. Still, if that is what you want, he will help you. As for him, he will retire into his own realm, which is eternal and does not pass away. At least that is what he says. He also says those who stick to him go where he goes. Now that's a ride I want. This sounds like the ultimate, and I was always interested in the ultimate. One never knows what you will find there. I have to tell you this. I was driving my taxi in New York when suddenly I noticed the steering was not working. So I stepped on the brakes, and that was not working either. Now the car was out of control. What was I to do? It all was happening so fast. There was an opposing lane of traffic. In the other lane were steel light poles and brick buildings. Now the car started weaving back and forth in the lane I was in. I could crash at any moment. Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. This is the way people get killed. But I had an ace up my sleeve, if you want to call it that. I remembered what the Master said to do in time of crisis. So I began to call his name continuously as the car began weaving more and more violently. Just then the car made a U-turn into the opposing lane of traffic. My taxi slid between two cars and came to a dead stop. Behind me now was a station wagon filled with a family with lots of kids in their car. So I got out of my taxi and asked the driver if everyone was all right. Then he said those most classic words, "You should drive more carefully." This was just one time when I called out the Master's name and was saved from a sure death. How does this work? How does he do it? Do you believe that this can happen by simply calling his name? Once again, I say what my girlfriend says. The best plan is the one that works. Now I am back to love again. I like love. For me, there is nothing like it. Here is my poem about the love that does not know how to die. Titled, I'm Yours. If I were to go to the deepest, darkest place, or rise to the splendors of paradise, it would all be empty without you. This world has never been without love. It has never been without you. Say what you will, deny it or praise it, no desert is drier than a loveless soul. Come to me, my darling, these are the precious words. Long ago, when cavemen roamed the earth, you were there dispensing the same love and truth you do today. Superstitions abounded, but still a man knew love when he saw it. Do not think that people did not know God in those days, before religion was born. The religion of the soul has always been love. Every great master before and after said it. Every heart preached it. O Lord, love pure and simple, not a moment of deception anywhere. Tell me you love me, and I'm yours. Tell me a story about heroes and villains. It's hard to be a hero if the villain is smart. The smarter the bad guy, the better the story. Adventure, romance, all the ingredients to hypnotize you into watching. If the hero will triumph, even bad guys root for the hero most of the time. Oh well, I have been watching stories like this for ages. Reincarnation has not changed anything. I will still root for my team. If we win, we will have another hero to cheer. If not, there's always next time. Then one day, the mysterious man came by. He said, "Did you have enough? How many more hero and villains do you have to see before it is enough?" So I said, "Are you offering me something?" Then he smiled and said, "That is what I like to hear. I came because there is something I want from you. But first, there is something you need to know that a great master said. All achievements, through progress in science or otherwise, are superficial explorations of that which is without. If that which is within be realized, the root of all that is without is made bare, and man will experience that everything emerges from within him as the shadow of his infinite self. What I want from you is to follow through to realize your aspirations. I can help you with that as a guide, but it is up to you to do it. I love people who want to better themselves beyond the desires of the flesh and want to become like me and enjoy unlimited life of the masters. Would you like to see God? There is a way. Anyone can do it. But I admit you will need some help. Masters are there for that and more. Here is what one master said. When the internal eye is opened, God, who is the object of search and longing, is actually sighted. A friend of mine told me he read in a book that the great God-realized master Ramakrishna had explained. If you want to see God, then repeat his name for 24 hours continuously, and you will surely see him. When I heard this, I began asking all my spiritually minded friends who told me they loved God that if they would like to see him. They all said yes, so I told them what Ramakrishna said. Later, when I checked back with them, none of them did it, which was puzzling to me since they told me they would do it. Who would not want to see the one you love and worship if there was a way? Then I thought, wait a minute. Why am I telling everyone else about this when I haven't done it either? Don't I want to see God? So now I was determined to do it. I was beyond caring who else did it or not. So I started repeating the name of God. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. I was in my apartment. I became restless and began to move around while repeating God's name. I started walking the streets in New York where I was living. I got on the buses. I rode the subways. I even went to the Staten Island ferry, all the time repeating his name verbally. When I was walking in Grand Central Station, a beggar came up to me wanting some money. I reached into my pocket, took out all the change I had, and slapped it into his hand. All the while, without missing a beat, saying the name of God for the beggar to also hear. I got in my car and drove on the highway. Now it was 2 a.m. Almost 24 hours had gone by repeating the name. So I headed back to my apartment. Boy, was I tired. I did not want sleep to overtake me before the 24 hours were up. I was determined to see this through. Now I am in the apartment and looking at the big clock on the wall to hit 4 a.m. Soon I am supposed to see God, but I do not have any feeling that anything is going to happen. I am so tired. I can barely keep my eyes open. Then the clock strikes 4 a.m. and I immediately fall asleep. I wake up later and realize nothing happened. I did not see God. But something else did happen. My mind became very clear, better than it has ever been. Still, I thought I have to see for myself what Ramakrishna said and not just hear it from someone else. I had his book and opened it to find where he said, if you want to see God, repeat his name for 24 hours and surely you will see him. So I opened the book and miraculously I opened it to the exact page where he was saying this. So I read the actual words now. If anyone were to repeat the name of God with all their heart for 24 hours, surely they would see him. I can't say I did it with all my heart. That was the key. But the good part is, there is always next time. This also reminds me of when I was in New Delhi. I was there to film a disciple of the great master in India. He would tell his stories of the things the master said and did with him. Posterity would see and hear what happened. In the course of telling these tales, he happened to mention that 20 years before he had heard that God appears each night in the place that Lord Krishna lived. That every night he comes there at midnight. Then he said that he decided to go there because he wanted to see God also. At that time, the place, he was told, was a very wild area, like a jungle with wild animals roaming. But he did not care and went into the area to find where this place was. Now he was telling me he sees a light in the distance. So he walks toward it and comes to a magnificent palace. He goes inside and sees these yogis sitting in meditation. He continues to go further in, and who does he see but the master, who he knew to be one with God. He remained with him to enjoy his divine presence and receive his blessings before returning. Now I am hearing this. So I tell him, when we are done with the filming, I would like for you to take me there. He asked me why I would want to go. I find it amazing that he would ask me this. I tell him I would like to see God. He tells me, but this was a long time ago. There may be homes and office buildings there now. So again I tell him I don't believe the Lord of the universe will have condos built where he comes every night. Will you take me there? So he agrees, and the next day we are off. But before we go, my brother, who was also working with me on the film project, is hearing all this and can't believe a word of it. He wonders how I can fall for this. So I tell him I am leaving. I will see this for myself. Since you don't believe any of it, you can stay here and wait until I get back. Now he says he wants to go. I ask him why. You don't believe it. Why do you want to waste your time and go? Still, he insists on coming. He wants to see this too, in case it happens. The next day we leave. Suddenly a rainstorm starts. The road turns into a river. We are driving up the river road. Then the driver stops to ask someone which way to Vrindavan, where we are going. Then after a while, he stops again and asks the same question. He keeps asking and is always pointed in another direction. So many times he asks, and I'm wondering if we will ever get there. This time when he asks, the man points across the street and says, "There it is." So I get out of the car and go to the front gate. The man in charge is at the gate. I ask him, I heard that Lord Krishna, God, comes here every night. Have you heard about this? He says, yes, at midnight. Wow, that was something. My first confirmation. The legend was true. So I enter this grove. Monkey families are in the trees and moving and swinging freely. Then a worker comes up to us and points out some trees that are petrified. And even though they are thousands of years old, they still have green shoots coming out of the trunk. So I ask him, does God come here at night? I heard this is so. Again, he confirms that every night he comes. Even though I heard this before, I have to admit, I was continuously amazed to hear this. I continued to walk with the others in the beautiful grove. It was quite large. Now we come to the middle of the grove, and there is a Hindu temple with an altar for prayers and a priest. I asked the priest if God comes as Lord Krishna. He says every night at midnight. Now I need to know more. So I asked, did you see him? He says, no. I say, how can that be? He comes here, don't you want to see him? He says the management closes the grove every night at 8 p.m. We have to leave, so I am not here. I say, you are a priest and Lord Krishna is your deity. How can you resist not seeing him? Now he looks confused, like he never thought of this before. So I say, has anyone seen him? How do you know he comes here? So I say, has anyone seen him? How do you know he comes here? The priest says sometimes someone hides in the bushes and we don't know. The next day we find them and they have gone mad. So that is how we know. I was not going to give up. Now that I knew how the others stayed after closing, I would do the same. I was not worried about going mad. I had to see what happens at midnight. The monkeys seemed all right. So I hid in the bushes. Now it was closing time. The grove was quiet. After a while, I hear a sing-song voice. Someone is walking around. The voice is saying, come out, I know you're there. Come out, wherever you are. Then I see someone is poking around in the bushes. Then the sing-song voice says, I see you. You can come out now. So I know I have been discovered. No use hiding anymore. I come out. How did they know I was here? I go out and there is the whole crew I came with. I told them not to tell anyone. I would go back with them the next day, but they spilled the beans and now I was discovered. Wanting to see God is not so easy. But I wasn't going to give up. I told the workers I want to see the owner of the grove. So they went to where he was living and brought him over. He tells me that they do not allow anyone to stay after closing because the police won't allow it. So I say, bring the police chief here. I will speak to him and get a special permission. By now it's getting late in the night. Someone goes to his home and wakes him up. The chief comes. Then he tells us that last year someone was murdered in the grove and higher authorities won't allow anyone in after closing. Now I know what I would have to do. I would have to go again myself and not tell anyone what I will do to see God. Call me crazy if you like. I never said I was sane. The thought crosses my mind. What does God think of the mafia? I know what us humans think of other humans in the mafia or not. We like love, nice things, good relationships, friends, and most of us even worship God. It doesn't matter whether you're an atheist, religious, agnostic, or independent, whatever that is, or in a mafia family. We all like these things. So if I were God, I would find this to be a great common denominator to reach anyone. Personally, I would not care whether you followed man's laws or not. They say, I created laws for you to follow. That's a laugh, which I enjoy. When was loving me a law? I love you, you love me. That's what I like. I am more interested in the music of the soul. Following me is more like a dance. We like to be in tune with each other. I say, welcome to my world. Who says it is on earth? I live in infinite bliss, love, power, knowledge. I'm one with all existence. So I say, welcome to my world. I may not be God now, but if I follow him, there is no telling what I will become. If you want to know the truth, some become scientists. They want to know the truth about how everything works, from the smallest to the largest cosmos. They even want to know why it is there. This is a very long path to find out everything. In the annals of time, there have been others who come around occasionally to tell us such answers. They do not call themselves scientists, but what are names anyhow? Some would call them lords, masters, higher beings, or any number of other labels. When they come, they tell us not only how things work and why it is so, but also it's time to move on and experience this for yourself like they do. Now my interest is perked. Sounds good to me. Who knew about such persons and what they could do? Where does love fit into this dry mentality? Well, the truth is, and we are speaking of finding the truth, you can't live without love. Love is power. Have you ever been in love? If so, you can feel the power of this attraction. It can overwhelm you to where you will do anything for the one you love. Not to mention a mother or father's love for their child, even to die to save the kid. Tell me that love is not powerful. And that is just human love. What about love in the forces of nature? Love is attraction. Nothing can work without it. The great ones know the power of love, and they have it to control whatever universe there is. Such power, such love, such knowledge. If I had been around as long as them, I would know the truth too, like they do. Then if I were to come around, I would also teach you and show you what the ages have taught me. I like my girlfriend a lot. I asked her, what do you think of my writings? Do you understand it? She tells me the one thing she likes about it is love. Love comes in many forms. It is everywhere through time and space. Everywhere on earth you will find love someplace. Go to Mars. Even if the planet is barren, you will bring love with you. So my girl loves me. We don't have to go anywhere. I found it right here in my apartment where I live. Love can even take over a big international conference of all the religions and cults of the times. My girl went to the conference. So many scholars, theologians, spiritual philosophers got up to speak. When her term came, she got up and said, I don't know anything, but I just love him so much with all my heart. There was silence in the great hall. And then everyone got up and gave her a standing ovation. That's love for you. When I met the great master in India, he said he was the avatar in this age. I knew that avatar meant descent of God in human form. So he asked me if I believed he was the avatar. I said yes. He asked me if I were to give you food you didn't like, would you eat it? I said yes. There were other questions too, which I answered yes. This was a big moment. I wasn't going to mess it up with any no's. Well, I must say, for the 2 weeks I was with him, he fed me very well. It wasn't just food for the mouth, but food for the mind and heart as well. After all, he was the avatar. He was no ordinary man like us, even though he was very human like us. He had a great sense of humor, was very fond of music, especially Indian ghazals of the lovers' struggles to find the divine beloved. Jokes too made him laugh. But through it all, he told us things the world would not come to know for a long time. That once in the distant past, he advanced consciousness from instinct to reason. Now he is advancing consciousness from reason to intuition. Beyond that is the stages of illumination and God realization. But that comes later, as one is prepared for that. In the meantime, I do enjoy his company and the wisdom he shares. There was a man I met when I was in the Air Force Reserve. I was doing KP, mopping the floors when he came in. I was silent that day because the master wanted everyone to keep silence for 24 hours. He wanted to know why I was not speaking. He wanted to know if I would speak to him tomorrow. I nodded yes. So he came by the next day. When I told him about the master and what he said to keep silence, he became interested because he read a book about opening the inner eye. Now he wants to know more about this master. So I said, I have a book of what he says in the barracks. We go to the barracks and he lays down on the floor and says, read to me. I start to read and he falls asleep. Suddenly he wakes up and says, I want to contact the master. I ask him, what will you say? I need help. I want to ask for his help. So I tell him the master is not receiving visitors or letters at this time, but you can send a telegram. Okay, he says, I will send a cable. But wait, I have been late to my duty section so many times, they warn me one more time and they will throw me in the brig. I can't go. So now I decide to help him. Who do you think you are contacting for help? This is the avatar. He is in the God state of consciousness. World leaders who everyone pays so much attention to on TV are just like puppets on the strings of the perfect masters. It is the masters who have absolute control of the mind of all beings. The military cannot do anything without their approval. You have nothing to worry about if you want to contact the avatar for help, but he will help you in his own way. Now my new friend takes courage from these words, and we go to the cable office. We will be late coming back, but now he says, I don't care if they throw me in jail. He sends his telegram, and we return to our duty sections. Now an amazing thing occurs for me and him. Something that never happens in the military, where everyone watches everyone else to make sure they are doing their job and not leaving it for someone else. I return and walk in to do my work, and no one even notices that I was gone. But wait, even though this is strange, they were not threatening me if I didn't show up, but surely I would hear about it. Now my new friend tells me later, he entered his duty section expecting the sergeant to jump all over him for being late again. In his case, they were watching him carefully, but instead, no one says anything, just like he was there the whole time. He can't believe this, but no one said anything. Now, about a week goes by, and everyone is leaving. We are departing. A car pulls up across the big field where we are, and a man gets out and shouts to my friend, there is a telegram for you. And then he drives off. So we go to the cable office, and it is from the avatar himself, saying to the effect, since my memory is not so good, that his love for the master will help him most, or something like that. But it is not over. He returns home and finds a letter waiting for him from the master. In it are 10 instructions for him to do. But then it says, failing this, you should come to see me. Believe it or not, this man who never liked to hold down a job and was always getting into some kind of trouble was the only one of all the people on the airbase I spoke to about the master that went to see him. Now that is a long story of how that happened. This much I will tell you. He had no money, but more important, he felt he was unworthy to see such a high being. So I reminded him that he had gotten this invitation to come. The master did not say you need to be worthy. Why are you making this up? I don't know anyone who is worthy. Just do what he says. Now I will skip over all the obstacles and miracles that needed to happen for him to get there. Now he comes before the master, and he does what he would never do for anyone. He prostrates himself on the floor at the master's feet. When he gets up, the master embraces him and they hug each other. From that day on, I can honestly say, he was never the same. He no longer was getting into trouble. Instead, he would tell the stories about his meeting with the master and urge all to read his book, God Speaks, which explains the mystery of the universe, why we are here, and describes the higher planes of consciousness which we must pass through, the role of the masters amongst other things. Now all he wanted to do was share his knowledge for others to benefit from. Now I will tell you from my own experience, such perfect masters, and the avatar particularly, who are one with the God state of consciousness, cannot only keep you out of trouble, but overlook you and help you as needed throughout your own spiritual journey to know your own unlimited nature. In my opinion, everyone in limitation needs the master for sure. He does not force anyone to do as he advises. Be free to do as you will. Learn as you can. Life is a great teacher. There is a story I heard about Meera, who worshipped and loved Lord Krishna. She lived a few hundred years after him. Still, her love for him was so great that she felt his presence with her, loving her too. In those days, the people would have festivals on his birthdays. She wanted to go to the festival, but her parents objected her leaving them. Her love was too strong that when they were asleep, she left. When she returned, they expressed such happiness that she was so kind and loving to them. They spoke in such a way like she had been there all along. Because of her love for him and his love for her, the Lord took her place when she went to the festival honoring his birthday till she got back. This is one of the many miraculous stories about Meera, who later became and was revered as a saint. The reason I mention this tale, unbelievable as it may sound, was that it is what happened to my friend when he went to the cable office to send the telegram to the avatar. When he returned to his duty section, instead of being taken to jail as they said they would, they acted like he was there the whole time. The same happened with me when I came back to my duty section. They acted like I was there the whole time I was away with him. The master liked to travel, so he went to Europe, China, USA, Australia. and other countries. He said he had work to do. When he came to America, he said he was laying cables. It was all part of his work for the future humanity. I had to put my glasses on. How it would unfold and be understandable, time would tell. Once he explained that when a building is constructed, a scaffolding is put up so the building could be built. His outer work was like that. But when the building is finished, the scaffolding is removed. When I build hospitals, places for travelers, feed and wash the feet of the poor and lepers, when the work is done, the future of humanity will be greatly benefited. This is just my scaffolding, which will be ended and removed when the inner work is done. Do you suppose I had anything to do with the Berlin Wall coming down? I was returning from India after visiting the resting place of the Avatar. The plane stopped in Frankfurt, Germany for a layover before going to the USA. During that layover, I was walking with my wife and son in the city when we stopped at a church to see the artworks. Inside there was a copy of the statue Michelangelo did of the Mother Mary holding her son, the crucified Jesus. The copy was a poor reproduction of the original Pieta masterpiece. In front of the statue were many candles. If you light a candle, you can make a prayer and ask for whatever you want. There was also a donation box for coins for lighting the candle. I did not care to do this, so I sat down with my son in one of the pews. As I did, my wife behind me says a coin rolled out of my pocket. That was the exact amount for lighting the candle. I felt this to be auspicious, so I thought, I will do this. But what to ask for? Then I thought the Germans were very stiff and formal. It was their culture. So I thought they really need to loosen up. They need a lot of love. That could do the trick. I made a prayer that God should make Germany feel a lot of love. Then I returned back to the States. The newspapers, TV, and all the media were saying that the Berlin Wall separating East and West Germany was being torn down. The Germans are having a love fest doing this. The East Germans were now freely coming to the West, which they were barred from doing for years. They were so happy. Even the banks were giving free money to East Germans so they could buy something in the West, since their money had no value. There was so much love and sharing between the East and West Germans that now the country was unified once again. Boy, was I surprised over what a simple prayer could do. You can call it coincidence, or you can say someone up there heard me. I had some pretty impressive dreams. One dream was after the master passed away. I am walking on the road with my brother past a house with a big picture window in the front. We look at the house and we see in the window the master greeting and embracing the people as they come up to him. There's a party going on, and everyone is so merry. Now my brother and I decide we will go inside and stand in the back of the room. We were not invited, so we will just watch. After a while, the master turns and looks at us and calls us over. We go over to him and he asks, "Where have you been?" So I say, "We did not know you were where you were, or that this party was happening." Just then the scene changes, and I see we were on a dock in a big, huge room with a big barge sitting in the water. The master is also there and points to a rope attached to the barge and says, don't let the barge drift or touch the back wall. It looked impossible, like trying to stop a battleship by pulling on the rope. So I grab the rope and pull on it. And unbelievably, this enormous barge comes to a stop and does not touch the back wall. The master is very happy that I did what seemed impossible. Now the scene changes again, and this time I am in a field. There is a dog in the field that has a small body with a big head with flashing, gnashing teeth. He charges toward me. My first instinct is to run away, but then I reconsider and think, no, this is the master in dog form. I will run toward him. Now we meet and the dog is growling fiercely. It looks like he will take a huge bite out of me, but instead turns into the master. He puts his arm around me, around my shoulders, and is very happy. I showed no fear. Again, the scene changes. This time I am in a dance hall with music playing. I see the master, but he is changed into the form of a very pretty girl. Now she asks me to dance, and we danced better than I ever did before. I began to feel amorous, and the scene changes back into the house we started in. Then he says, things will be difficult for you. So I say, will you help me? Now he lights up and says, yes, I will help you. Now the dream is over and I wake up. In my life, I did many things that were difficult, that even seemed impossible. But without fear, I went ahead. Whenever things looked like it would not work out, I asked for his help and everything would change, just like I was told in the dream. I had another dream. It was in France. I was living with a man I called Master. He seldom said anything to me, except to tell me to do any one of my menial tasks, like bringing the water from the pump, or cooking the food, or do the shopping, or the laundry. After some years of this, I thought in my mind and in my dream, is this all there is to my life? Is there no inner advancement for me? Then the dream ended. Now this dream would not have meant much were it not for something that happened that was no dream. I was visiting the Master when he casually said in passing, "You were sent to me by another Master." There was no explanation, but later I remembered my dream. Could it have been an earlier life that I was remembering in France, and that Master arranged my meeting the avatar to continue my advancement? I do believe no one gets to meet him unless there is previous contacts that help you. We do follow in the steps of those who have gone on before. Dreams come and go. Here is another one. Take it for what it is. I see the avatar. He looks like an ordinary man, but he says something not so ordinary. In this dream, we are all kids sitting around him. He says he has to go down on the planet Earth because he has work to do for humanity. He asks who will go also. Everyone raises their hand except me. So he looks at me and says, "Don't you want to go too?" I say no. So he asks, "Why not?" I say, "It is such a large planet. I will get born and won't know anything. I won't know you or even where you are. All my memories will be gone, so I won't go." Then he says, I will see to it that you meet me. Now I reply, in that case, I will go. Whether this dream was prophetic as to what was to come, I can only say I really did meet him, just the way the dream foretold. I have to tell you about the 2 dreams my girlfriend had. They were whoppers. She had a dream in which she was looking for a book for her soul. In the dream, a friend she knew in real life that had a used bookstore handed her a book called Avatar. She saw a heart emanating light on the cover of the book under the title Avatar. This was in her dream. After she woke, she remembered the dream. As she was eating breakfast in the deli, her friend who had a used bookstore came in. She told him the dream, and he said that someone had come in and gave the book Avatar to the store. He left and brought me the book by Jean Adriel. The book in the real world did not emanate a golden light like in the dream, but it did have the heart on the cover. When I opened the book, there was a beautiful picture of the Master standing on Godfather Mountain in Mahabaleshwar, India. After this dream, later I had another dream. This time I saw him. He was so filled with happiness, light, and love shining from him to me. I would say it was multidimensional, coming from everywhere. However beautiful and formative dreams may be, I cannot forget what the Master wrote me in a letter. I have not come to create more dreams for you. I come to wake you up from all dreams. Many people appeared and disappeared in my life, whether they were masters or common folk. No one lasts long, and I'm no exception. My time is sure to come, like everyone. I cannot say when with certainty, but I can say with clarity and certainty it will happen. When the great Avatar left his mortal coil, I was there to help cover him in his tomb. Thousands of people had come to pay their last respects. Now it would become a place of pilgrimage, where for all time, men, women, children of every race, religion, nationality will come to receive the benefits of his loving presence that resides there. It was my wish from the time I met him to be a part of his life and not just a passerby. My wish, I can say, was granted. Here is what I wrote about death when my wife died. Titled The Sting of Death. My darling, I loved you in life, but only death told me how much. I miss you so much, but what can I do? Since you left your body, I was at a loss to see you. You have gone to a place beyond my sight and touch. What am I to do with my aching heart? It torments me beyond sadness. I miss you so much. A desperate man will do anything. So I remembered something that I read. It is said that there are those who can leave their body and come back to it, as easily as taking off a coat and putting it back on. That this is not that hard if you know how. It is said that death is an illusion, that it is not true that no one has ever come back. Those who know the secret see with a different eye. Invisible loved ones become visible. Then life takes on new meaning. The sting of death is gone. One's sight is restored. Both sides of the curtain can be seen. Love matters most in this realm. My darling, I am always with you. How can I miss you anymore? Now that I know the truth. I have had to conquer death to be with you. Now I know you are with me whether I can see you or not. Love is everlasting for both of us. Dear Lord, finally I know the truth. You never intended for death to separate us. All you wanted was for me to love you so much that I should want to find the way to destroy the ignorance of death forever so we could be one at last. And so it has always been written on my eternal soul. And so it is. Not till death do us part, but till liberation makes us one. When the avatar, who can be described as the master of masters, said, "You are named Izad, the only one worthy of worship," one may ask, who is Izad? For him to declare such a thing, Izad, it turns out, is another name for God. So one may continue to ask, who is God who is said to be everywhere in everything? Is this God the mind, which all beings have to whatever degree? It manifests in anyone and everyone, as well as in subhuman beings? But no, it is not mind and its contents, but something that makes mind, yet inhabits it. So Izad turns out to be consciousness in every life form that exists. To find and identify with that consciousness is to merge with Izad and become the only one worthy of worship. This book is all about God, love, man, masters, and the ordinary Joe, imperfect as we are. But before I end, I have to tell you this. I'm just a kid, and that's the title of what I'm reading. When the avatar looks at his children, naturally he wants to help them grow. But did you know that many of his children are just starting their evolutionary journey? These children have been asleep, so he gives them the urge to wake up. They do so very slowly, so slow that they are hardly conscious of anything. Still, it is a big advancement for them, whereas before they had no consciousness. These children are just being born. Their consciousness is not even that of an insect, and hardly that of a stone. Hard to imagine what being in the inanimate world is like, but you have to start somewhere, and this is where the beginning is, according to the man who knows everything, everywhere. Kids will be kids, and this is where we begin. Speaking for myself as well as yourself, there are so many grades we had to pass through to get fully awake. Stones, metals, plants, insects, reptiles, birds, animals. Finally, we made it to human. So what if it took me a long time? I'm a human now. I went through all the inanimate and animate kingdoms of life. Now it's like no time has passed. The good part is, you were watching me all along, regardless of me being a rascal in the world of eat or be eaten, or a caretaker of others. You loved me just the same, gave me whatever I wanted as long as it was from the bottom of my heart. You assured my progress on the path to knowing myself as infinite in every way. I'm just a kid in your school. It's a good thing you are taking care of us, helping us through all the grades. I can't imagine what it would be like without you. I will love you always. The truth is, I was never anything other than a kid. At this writing, I am 85 years old. The truth is, I was never anything other than a kid. At this writing, I am an 85-year-old kid. Don't let my age fool you. I have been going to your school since I was a teenager. You once told me I have to see you as you really are, not this body of yours I look at. But being the kid I am, in spite of my long life, I'm still waiting to do that. I learned from you that time is everlasting, but things always happen in the now. So when you do this, as impatient as I am, it will always be now, not later. What else did you teach me? There is only one self in existence that imagines itself as the many selves behind the bodies and minds of all beings. This great and only self we call God. That is why it is said he is in everyone, because he is the self of everyone. How much more than that can you be in everyone? Still, love is king. He loves everyone unconditionally. As the separate self I see myself to be, I can't do that. But when I can do like you and see myself as everyone, then unconditional love for all will be no problem. I love the masters. They are so friendly and full of love. But they are no fools. All minds are transparent to them. That is what I like. Someone who really knows what's going on. I can trust a guy like that. He can show me the cosmic ropes and the everyday solutions. How come I didn't know about you sooner? Even though I'm still a kid in my mind, if not in my body, I am happy I know of you now. Tomorrow is another day in the eternity of time. What will you show me next? I have only to wait in your endless now to find out. I know it will be good. It always is. My book is ending. You may be wondering in the course of reading it the name of the master I have been quoting. Who is he that I have declared in so many ways throughout so many stories in this book as the one so many seek and so few find? Well, I will let him tell you himself. Here is what he wrote when he was given the enlightenment by the perfect master, Hazrat Babajan. Merwan Esarani, known as Meher Baba, composed the following ghazal dedicated to Babajan. O beloved Master, I am eternally grateful to you. If I had 100,000 lives, I would sacrifice every one of them at your feet. You drowned me in the eternal ocean of oneness and transformed me into an ocean like yourself. In the twinkling of an eye, you made a lover into God, and God I have become. O Emperor of Masters, O Ocean of Mercy, O Perfection personified, Sadguru, if your merciful glance falls on anyone, a beggar turns into a king. gods, goddesses, angels, celestial beings, and men are all awed by the brilliance of your divinity. O enlightened master of the three worlds, even if I were to transform my body into the sandals of your feet, it would be nothing in comparison with what you have done for Merwan. And that concludes my book.